Right, parcel 1 of 2. The systemic stuff that I've got in, I need different because I'm reasonably sure that the one I've been using is possibly developed some resistance because I haven't been using it properly. I've been using it as a spot treatment, which is like a contact killer. But those that don't get killed potentially build up a resistance, and because I haven't been using it systemically by coating the whole plant, they're sort of getting away with it. So this is the choice number 1 that is a spray. So this is going to be very easy to use and very easy to apply. What's in it is a name about 8 foot long. I don't know whether that will focus on it. It looks like it does. Now that is a relatively common string of characters that I have seen before. So it's not the same as the one I've been using, it's different. So that's good enough, that's all I'm after. So that's one. There's another one to come that is a different active ingredient so that I can alternate, and both are different to the one I've been using. So we should be able to get a bit of control going on these bugs. That's the theory. Right, that's that. Over to here, the new trays arrived, and I can't remember who it was, apologies, but whoever thought of this idea of chucking some water bottles in there to stabilise these racks, because they're top heavy basically, and if you try and move them without something substantial at the base, they're just going to tip over. One day I think that's going to happen when I'm not concentrating or in a hurry, or worse still, both. I've got a feeling one of these is going to go over. But that weight of water is going to help a lot in stabilising them. And the trays have no holes in. They're solid trays, so I can still water the mounts and let them drip, and they don't go all over the floor. They go in the trays, and then obviously I can just empty the water out, which is going to help lower the humidity in here. Now I watered the mounts this morning properly, and I got water all over the flipping place, so I'm going to have to, I forgot to put my, I was going to put the Vander bucket under there to catch a load of the drips that, it's basically when I'm holding a plant, it always comes over the edge a bit and I end up with a huge puddle here. But why that dirty water's in there is I did what I said I was going to do, and when I'd finished watering I went over the floor with a floor cloth and wrung it out into there, so that'll have to be washed before I use it again. But I needed somewhere to put the dirty water basically, so that's serving 2 purposes now. So yeah, we're moving on. As I said, trying to get the humidity down in here is a must, and we're working on it basically. Obviously when I water the mounts, the amount of evaporation off of the mounts is great compared with the amount of evaporation on the pots. Yeah, so it's when I water the mounts that's the problem. Now while I was watering the mounts today, certainly in the twinkles sort of stuff along there, we found quite a few areas of scale, shall we say. So I used up what was left of my systemic spray, giving those a proper go. You know, the undersides, top sides of the leaves, the bulbs, right down into the roots. So some of those have had a systemic treatment today. I'm going to get on top of this, but like anything else, if you want a result, you have to work. And I've been lazy. A lot of that's been just the heat. It's just been too hot to do stuff. So I've been lazy. So things have got a bit out of hand. We'll get back in control. We'll get it all back in order again. We won't eliminate scale. I don't have any high hopes of removing them from this grow room forever. It ain't going to happen. But I want to get it down to the point where they're not doing damage to the plants. So you just get a few and you knock them down, and then you might get a few on another plant and you knock them down. Anyway, I've just finished a bonsai video, which was, it's funny, I always say, like on my orchid channel, people come up with bright ideas. not all bright ideas can be used, but they're still bright ideas, and if it's a bright idea for me, then it's something I hadn't thought of. So those sort of ideas are greatly appreciated. And so somebody put a bonsai video up about some 5 easy starter trees or something it was called. And one of those trees was the Fuji cherry, which is Kojo no Mei. And I suddenly thought, I've got one of them, and it's tucked away in the back of the garden in a corner that I've lost sight of because of that ginormous laurel that's grown through the summer. So I went and dug that out and filmed it. It's a tree with a story, basically. It's a sad story. Those of you that have been around the orchid channels a very long time will know that a while ago, it's many years now, quite honestly, Rachel lost her son. He died at a very young age. And it was a tragic thing to happen to a family. Having visited, it's a close family, so that must have been awful for them. And Rachel was very brave coming out of hiding and doing some videos to explain why there'd been a long gap and everything, understandably so. And she started a project called #GrowItForJosh, which was in memory of her son. And it was basically the idea was people dedicated a plant to the memory of her son. And I chose that tree because I think she called it his birth tree or his favourite tree. But anyway, it was a cherry. And I was at my mum's place at the time. I can't start growing flipping great trees in the garden when it's not mine. So I found this particular bonsai tree, found this particular cherry tree, which was a dwarf tree. It's a very small growing tree. It's not vigorous at all. And it has tiny little blooms. So I already had one of these at this particular time, and the plan was to turn it into a bonsai. But because of the tragedy at Rachel's sort of thing, I thought, actually, it's a cherry. I'm going to dedicate my Kojo no Mei to Josh. So I did that as my #GrowItForJosh. But now that the bonsai channel's coming round again, the tree still has the memory. But rather than just sort of sticking it in the corner, I thought it might be more productive to make something out of it. So I'm going to, come the new year, it will bloom, February time. It blooms with gorgeous blooms on bare branches before the leaves start to come out. So we'll let it bloom, and then we'll get it out of its tub, get it in a bonsai pot and turn it into a bonsai. And to me, that will be a better memory, because it's a tree that now has like a function as well as a memory. So anyway, that was the video I just did. If you're interested, go and have a look. And the other thing I've been doing for the last hour is faffing around on that bonsai channel, trying to get the clickable subscribe button on the videos. I'd forgotten how to do it, basically. I had to get a YouTube video to tell me how to do it. I've always said, doesn't matter what you want to do, there's a YouTube video to tell you how to do it. But yeah, basically I wanted the clickable subscribe button. You know, it's no good having a pretty picture of subscribe, the word, if you can't click on it. So I've got that sorted out. Tomorrow is Everything in Bloom on the 8th. So we will be doing that. And I may do it in a different format, because I've been a bit lazy with that type of video recently. So I will probably do it in a different format for work. The workload out here is not great at the moment. So that will give me a project, like a mini project, a video that's different to the way I normally do it. So it'll give me more to concentrate on and more work to do on the computer to do it. I sometimes say these videos are a bit fiddly. What I mean is they take longer to do. Well, what else am I going to do with the time? Stop being so lazy, boy. Anyway, we will be dealing with bugs in a different manner. That's changing as well, alternating products and using products that have got an active ingredient that I haven't used before or haven't used recently, to see if we can get a better result, and we'll go from there. And we're having a clear up outside. you notice the bird feeders are virtually empty. Well, 3 of them are empty. One of them's just got a little bit left in. And what we're doing is we're making the birds clear the yard up, because there's been a lot of seeds dropped and a lot of mess has been made by the greedy sparrows descending mob-handed onto the feeders and chucking more seeds on the ground than they actually eat. Well, by not having anything in the feeders, they're having to work hard for their seeds now. So they're going all around the floor, picking up all the seeds and tidying it up for me. And they can have some more seeds in the feeder tomorrow. But yeah, I call it a plague of sparrows. There's 3 or 4 families of sparrows. So, you know, the pair of adults and 4 or 5 youngsters. And when they all descend together, they're mob-handed. They've shooed away some of my nice, attractive birds on the feeders. I mean, I haven't seen the long-tailed tits for a long time. The goldfinches have stopped coming. And some of the others are still trying to get a look in, but there's so many sparrows there all the time. You know, as fast as they can get on one of the feeders, 2 or 3 sparrows knock them off. So, but we do have 1 sparrow less. There was a kerfuffle out here yesterday, and I just caught it looking out the window. And basically, on top of my pine tree there was a sparrow. And a sparrow hawk had hit it hard, and it was obviously making a little bit of a fuss about it. But basically it had obviously come in from the left hand side of the garden, swooped in, grabbed its sparrow, and it stopped on top of the tree for about 2 seconds just to make sure it had a good grip, and then flew off. And it flew out through that gap into next door's garden. Where it went after that, I don't know. So there's 1 sparrow less. Well, sparrowhawks got to eat as well, so that's nature at its best. And yeah, I'll see you next time in Everything in Bloom on the 8th with a slightly different style to it, but you'll have to watch to find out what I've changed. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.